Hello everyone, Phoenix61 here with your daily dose of Legends, right? So, update day, sort of ish, right? Mid-update, whatever you want to call it, has happened, and it is all the pirate stuff, right? So, there's some pretty cool looking ships. I don't know that I'm crazy excited about anyone in particular. Like, they all look good. If I were to maybe get one out of a free crate, that'd be fine with me, but I don't know that any of the ships in particular I'm too excited about. There are some commanders that I am a little interested in, and then there is a way to get a couple of these crates for free-ish, sort of, right? And I'll show you that too. But in all of World of Warships Legends fashion, you can spend $300 to get everything if you would like, right? So that's what, between, there's 5 ships and 5 commanders in total, and you have to buy 2 different packages, one for 54,000 and one for 36, and that gets you in the 90,000 doubloons range, which means you have to buy the 47,000 doubloons package twice for 150 American dollars, right? So it's a bit pricey to get everything if you want guaranteed everything, right? You could go the treasure chest, right, the container route. The chances of getting ships are okay. I do like the chances of getting commanders is at 10% in those, and we'll do a deep dive into the what all you can get from the chests as well towards the end here. But yes, as you can see, 5 ships and 5 commanders, so you know what they're getting at here, right? If you get the ship, you need to get the commander, right? That's, which, you know, like, is fine. Like, that's the way it, you know, that's the way they're doing it, right? That's pretty typical of them. But we'll breeze through the ships here. Like I said, nothing in here is a must-have, at least not for me, right? So, Elephant, this is, what, a Soviet cruiser here, which is, you know, only going to have AP shells. That's going to be the big shtick with this one. And then, yeah, you do get an option with sonar or not. The other thing to note with this one is you get an observation seaplane. Keep that in mind because the commander has a perk that has to do with the seaplane, right? The observation plane. So I'll quickly scroll through the stats here, but yeah, like I said, look, you're getting only AP shells here. 10-kilometer range torpedoes is kind of nice on a Soviet boat, so you don't see that very much. But yeah, other than that, like, nothing's like crazy sticking out here, right? You're just it's gonna be a lot of AP bullets that you're firing, right? Like, just even with this, like, it almost has that like Japanese cruiser turret setup, right? It reminds me of it, but yeah, there's your critical ship components, right? So your Citadel's kind of towards the back there. It is kind of nice to see it not covering the entire, you know, from turrets to turrets, right? From front to back turrets. So you get that a little bit, right? So if people are aiming more bow, they're not going to get you in the Citadel, but yeah, torpedoes can be launched one by one, similar to how the British do it, right? And then you get better penetration for AP shells, right? So, but yeah, here is, this one's what, the Pan-European cruiser. It does look very much like a little destroyer, but this is a cruiser. And the nice thing with this one's going to be the 2 launchers of 3 torpedoes on each side with this. And then, yeah, you do get smokescreen and sonar, right? So, like, this is pretty nice. Like, you know, like, it's, again, I'm like, I don't have to have it. I don't need it, but it's, you know, fun. And there's only a few, Pan-European destroyer or cruisers out there to start with, but yeah, 12-kilometer range fast, speedy torpedoes here, right? 86 knots. So that's good. We'll take that. But that would be what to build into on this, right? And so if we'll take a peek at the commander, and sure enough, that's the way to go, right? Like, commander is going to pair very well with this one as well. And I did take a peek at the Citadel here, just since it is a cruiser, right? So yeah, pretty typical what you'd see. A water line between the turrets, right? So yeah, rapid reload, above average torpedo reload speed, above average number of available torpedo tubes. So yeah, that's the way to go. Basically a destroyer in cruiser disguise, I guess. Yeah. That'd be fun to have. this one here, right, this is your French destroyer, and it's a tier 5, right? So this one, if you were buying it outright for doubloons, it's a little bit not as crazy expensive, right? Like, I want to say cheaper, but it's really, like, to me, nothing, like, none of these ships are cheap when it comes to, like, you know, like, you can buy these things for the cost of another game in a lot of cases, right? So, but yeah, torpedoes are nothing crazy here, so I think what you would do is build this out as a gunboat like you would do with a lot of your other French destroyers, right? So keep that in mind too. If you don't like gunboats, it's not, yeah. If you're not a gunboater, right, and like it's not that much different than some of the other French destroyers, right? So like I'm like, I don't need this one. I can easily pass on that one for sure. But it is the tier 5, so that's, you're more likely to get that from the crates than the tier 7s, right? Le Foudre, so this is going to be your Jean Bart, right? So that's why I went to the overview here first, right? So if you're interested in any of these screens, like hit the pause button, because I'm flying through here just for the sake of time for the video, right? But yeah, you can, the thing to note here is you can swap out the engine boost for the secondary battery consumable, and I think that's the way you'd want to go here, because as we scroll through the specs here, if you look at the secondary batteries over on the right, the firing range is starting base at 6.7, right? So it's a Jean Bart where I think they've basically nerfed the main guns a little bit and buffed the secondaries quite a bit, right? So like, yeah, and then yeah, there's your citadel right at the water line underneath the turrets, right? So that's your typical, yeah. But yeah, so I think if you're looking for a Jean Bart, because I think that's one where they don't give that out anymore very easily, right? So if you're looking for that ship, yeah, that's, I don't think this is the equivalent of it. I think this is more secondary battery focused. So I know there's some folks out there that are all about that Jean Bart and think it's broken and all that other fun stuff. So anyway, Caprice, this is one that I did get last year, so this is a returning ship. I did get this from a free crate, and I absolutely would not pay the doubloons outright for this. It is very much so not that much different than any other upper tier British destroyer, so just keep that in mind. That is, you know, my opinions are my own, right? But yeah, you get the single launch torpedoes and all that other fun stuff, and the like quick dispersing smoke screens, right? It's just not, it's not any different, right? In my opinion there, right? But you could swap out the main battery for main battery reload or reload booster if you wanted, right? But yeah, so that is it for the ships, right? So that's going to be my quick shtick and spiel on the ships, right? Nothing crazy, nothing that I am like personally willing to spend that much to just outright get a ship. I am a little tempted by some of these commanders though, right? So this is, you know, going to be a French destroyer commander, and of course, yes, a lot of these I'm interested in the base traits, so keep that in mind. But yeah, increased fire chance for base trait, and then, you know, a lot of other typical stuff. You could kind of load this out however you want. I would do, you know, if you're this commander with a French destroyer, you're probably loading it out as a gunboat, right? So he does have this unique perk here, which, like, I'm gonna guess is, okay, so, like, the 9 is highlighted, right? So, every 9th fire your destroyer starts on enemy ships is duplicated. But I was like, well, does it then become every 8th, and then become every 7th, and then become every 6th as you upgrade this? So then you'd have to set, you know, if you get it fully upgraded, your 6th fire would be doubled, and then you'd have to get up to 12 fires for that to happen again, or is it going to be on the 6th, 7th, and 8th and 9th, right? Like, so I'm gonna guess it's the first thing there, right? So, like, in order, you know, for, like, to have, you know, a couple of fires throughout your game, maybe 2, maybe 3 fires throughout your game, cause a double fire instead of a single, like, that's not huge, but that's nice, right? So, like, I'm like, yeah, like, and then with the increased fire chance from the base trait, right? And then you could do the rather be torching for the legendary perk, which, like, you know, you do you, but it's hard to get away from unstoppable if you're a destroyer getting into gun battles, right? Like, I want that maneuverability when it comes around, right? So yeah, so then This one, obviously, this commander is meant to be paired with the AP shell focused cruiser, right? So, you know, a bonus hit applies to subsequent AP damage, right? So an extra 0.5% of damage per each hit that you get, up to 15% more, right, as you get this commander upgraded. But, like, guys, keep in mind too, like, commander, if you're buying a lot of commanders, a lot of times I'll buy like one or two, right, when like these things come around, and I don't have the resources to get them upgraded all the way, right? So just, yeah. But yeah, you get some typical stuff like punch through and piercer or whatever, right? And then, yeah, I'd maybe go sponge there, which is kind of nice. Punch through is on the second row, which is nice because that frees up some, you know, another choice. But yeah, he also has this, which is unique to him, I believe, right? Hit them hard. Cruiser gun traverse speed, fine. But cruiser damage while observation seaplane is active, right? So that's what I was getting at. So that goes up to another 15%, right? So if you're working through that base trait and then plus that, like, is that 30% more damage? Like, that can start stacking up, right? So, yeah, keep that in mind. So then you would also get an extra charge, right, of your seaplane, of your observation plane. And then you could go fully packed and get another one still too, right? But keep in mind, those typically have pretty long cooldown. This Marissa one is the one that I will probably buy, because this is me doing me, right? I am in love with my Takahashi right now, right? Like, so my Japanese cruiser torpedo boats, like that line, and this base trait I could probably put on there, right? So I could put on whoever I'm using. I'm using the like freebie commander right now, right? Which is like fine, he's great for it. But yeah, cruiser torpedo detectability up to minus 120 meters, right? So making your torpedoes harder to see, and then a little bit more range too, which don't care too much about because it already has epic range. But then she also does have, and keep in mind, like, too, this is, you know, there's only so many boats that you're going to be able to put this commander on, right? Like, so, yeah. Or you would want to anyway. But cruiser torpedo flooding chance, Sharks on the Run, this perk here, up to 60%. Like, that's pretty epic, right? As you get this upgraded. And same with destroyers, too. So you could put this on a destroyer, but then your base trait was unique to cruisers. It did specify cruiser, so you'd be losing out on that base trait, but that may not be too big of a deal. And then, yeah, killing distance, right? So another, you know, less torpedo detectability there. And then, you know, that's a new perk that newish, right? Like, that's been around, like a couple other commanders have it, right? It's nothing crazy. And then this one here is also tempting, right? So a base trait with up to 10% more secondary battery shell damage, right? So if you've been back and forth on who to put as your inspiration for your secondary battery, you know, yeah, like, this might be good, right? But, and then you get Porcupine and Properly Meticulous in the third row instead of the last here. So you could also go Master Mechanic and have Properly Meticulous. That is a rarity, right? And then I do love this. Like, this is just nice. This I'll Be Back perk, like a Terminator reference, right? Like, pretty cool. But I would still, you know, fire duration when damage party is on cooldown, you know, minus 10%. And, you know, 10% less flood damage, right? Like, that's something I would probably pick Master Mechanic over that, but that's kind of that's a nice perk there, and it's fun that I understood that reference, right? But yeah, and then your choices are, you know, pretty typical for a brawler. You know, fight fire with fire, running with scissors. You could go. You can also always do will to rebuild. But yeah, so he's tempting too. The problem there is, and maybe I'll go into this. I'll show you. So. I think I have like one. I really only have one. Yeah, La Flandre, right? I have one French battleship that I've built out as a secondary, like solely secondaries, right? Like, I don't know if any of the ones along the regular tech tree are really any good for it, but I'm just using the free commander, right? The one that you can buy for Commander XP, right? So this is a Commander Geist over top of it, right? The only big difference would be the base trait here is speed. So it would be nice to have that base trait as more damage. And then, yeah, you're picking Porcupine and Properly Meticulous along the way. Here, I picked Firefighter here, right, since I'm doing a Brawler, I'm doing a secondary build for it, right? And then Properly Meticulous here. So you could get, see, normally you have to pick between this and Master Mechanic. Well, on that other one, now you don't have to. But my gripe's going to be, like, there's only, it's this ship, and then if you get the corresponding pirate-themed ship, you would put that new commander on it. And then I think there's the Picardy, which is like an up-tiered Leon, right? There's a version of this ship that was in test recently. I didn't see it out there anymore, but you could get the Picardy, which was basically that, very similar to the Leon, or the Lion, right? And you could get that. And so there's like only a handful of secondary battery focused French battleships, right? So that's my kind of gripe there. And then, yeah, the last one is a destroyer commander for the British. Better reload time is always nice for a base trait. I personally am not going, I've got other things that I like putting on my inspirations for my destroyer, so I'm not going to buy her outright for sure. It's not my pick, but it does have this interesting perk here that's going to be beneficial for British destroyers, right? Torpedo damage when launching 1x1, right? So you get an extra 5% damage. And then a little bit more smokescreen dispersion, which is like not a big deal, right? The British smokescreens are kind of short anyway, so 4% there isn't that great, right? But there are 2 chests, right, that you can get free-ish here, right? So one for 1.5 million silver. So make sure you buy these if you've got the resources. And then another one for global XP. It makes me scroll all the way back over again. So yeah, make sure you pick these up. We may open them on live stream or something next time I'm hanging out. So look for me there. And then, yeah, let's go into the chest stuff, right? So we'll see what your chances of getting things are out of these, right? So you can always go to the World of Warships Legends website, and then here is the treasure chest 2024, right? So keep in mind, like, the things you're gonna get the most out of these is camos, credits, XP, and promotion orders, right? Like, so just like that, those are your top things that you're gonna get from these. So, which is not worth spending doubloons to get those things, right? But 10% for a commander, that's pretty decent, because now you're at the point where, like, it's like, okay, it's kind of worth it to, buy a few of these and then and hope you get the commander you want, right? But it's still kind of gambling, right? So if you're interested in 1 or 2 commanders, I'm always like, buy the 1 or 2 commanders and then be done with the update, right? Save your doubloons for the next time, right? So then, yeah, you get these smaller chances, the 3 and 4%, right, for the ships. And then the super prize, 0.01% for 30,000 doubloons. I'm a little disappointed there, right? The super prize was normally 100,000 doubloons. What the heck, guys? So, you can't even give me 100,000 doubloons anymore for my 0.01% chance, right? And then pretty much all the collections from this year are back too. If you missed any of those, I don't think anything is worth it in there. Like, I'll show you what you can get for the collections, right? And then there is a mission in here. I'll check it out too. I'll go to the missions and see. But I think it's just like, if you complete it, it's like you get a super winter crate, right? Which is nothing crazy, but we'll take a peek here. Yeah, so camos and the final reward. So basically play the game, win 8 battles total, right? Nothing crazy there. But yeah, you get a winter crate. Yeah, so these are the collections, right? So those other crates that are in the store right now are for these, and so you need so many, right? So if you were missing like 1 or something, right, like you could go in there and buy the crate and unlock the collection, right? But like, I'm just like, it's always lower level tiers, right? Like, look at the bottom right, it's, tier 2 ship, Commander Geist, right? Like, the Mikasa, that ship's horrible, right? So, like, I don't think any of those are worth it, right? Like, I wouldn't spend any doubloons on any of the collections. Like, even it looks cheap, 150, right? But it's not worth it, right? I wouldn't buy any of these. So holiday traditions, that one threw me off because it didn't say collection on it. So I was like, wait, is that a collections crate or is that? Yeah, I was like, what? But yeah, this is still. I'll show you. You can see these on the website too. But yeah, it's also one of the collections too. So it just doesn't. It's annoying because it didn't say collections on it, right? So it is an event container. Here's the collection. Here's some of the collections crates, right? So what it is you get one of those cards, and then it's so holiday collection crate 24, right? So when you get the cards, and if you collect all the cards, then it unlocks the final reward, which is a garbage ship. So like do not recommend spending doubloons on those. I wouldn't. I have a few that are missing and I do not plan on buying any, right? So my personal thoughts and feelings and opinions. I do think that if you haven't done this, right, so the bundle packages for Black Friday, we talked about this in the last update video, but I would buy the first one because it's 500 doubloons to get 2 Black Friday crates, whereas they're normally 1,000 a piece. And then I don't think there was anything else here that was worth it, right? I just would not spend this amount of doubloons on any of those black ships, right? So they're not any different, right? The old ones are maybe very slightly modified, and then the new ones are just new paint jobs, right? And then the crafting station's still out there. I also would recommend going up to the 5% in the crafting station for this time around, if you can use your free currencies, right? Like silver or global XP, because that'll net you another 2 Black Friday crates. But then I would stop. I don't think anything else is worth the higher ranks there, right? So I wouldn't do that, right? But but yeah, so my opinion on what we can do for free-ish for this time around, right? But that's going to be our pirate update video for the day, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you everybody who is subscribed to the channels, and special thanks to channel members as well. We do Legends videos pretty much every day, so make sure you guys are subscribed, and we will see you next time. Thanks again.